I'm Jay from TechForce and welcome to the first video of Cyber Scotland Week 2020. Right, we are looking at cyber hygiene today, right? So you hear about, the Equifax data breach, TravelX ransomware incident, Maersk incident, British Airways and whatnot, and then you are thinking how to avoid all these attacks, cyber attacks, and then you are going to go for penetration testing done on your network, and then threat hunting, threat intelligence, thinking about all these services, right? But most of the time, right, 90% of the time or even more, these attacks could be prevented by following a basic cyber hygiene. Most of these attacks, right? So for most businesses out there, this is absolutely true, and we are looking at. So what is basic cyber hygiene? I remember being at an event early this week, and somebody was asking, okay, we are having complex passwords, we are updating our systems regularly, what else we should do, right? That's a good question, and they are backing up regularly as well. But we are going to answer that question as part of this as well. But for most businesses, your small, medium, large, large businesses have a team to look after, but so basic cyber hygiene. What should we do, right? What should you do? What should we do? Inventory. The first things first. Know what you have on your network, right? Whether that is a software, applications, hardware. What do you have? When we go and do an assessment, sometimes we find devices that companies know, they don't know about, right? They are surprised when they see, oh, what's this IP address? Oh, what's this device? We never realize it's there, right? But anyway, know what you have. Applications, devices, if you know what you have, you know what to protect. And if you do the risk assessment, you know your risk appetite, and you know what legal obligations do you have to protect, and what to protect, basically, right? What information do you have? What applications do you have? What devices do you have? Simple, right? Secure configuration. When the devices ship out, your suppliers may have used like default admin username and passwords. Default username could be admin and password could be password, or 12345 6. Change them, right? Make sure you don't have these devices. Mainly the printers, franking machines, routers, firewalls, switches, these devices, right? Change the default configuration, default username and passwords on them. And also disable the functionality you don't need on the applications you're using. And the applications you're using, once you're done with them, if you don't need them anymore, just uninstall them, right? Just remove them from your system, because you don't need them. If you have them, you don't, without needing them, you need to maintain them, you need to keep updating them, lots of hassle, right? Just better not having them. So. Right, and also, if you're using cloud systems, it's the same goes there. Strong authentication. This is one of the really good things, low-hanging fruit. You can do it straight away, and you can improve your security by at least a few percentage, right? So strong authentication, which what I mean is have complex passwords. I've been into a business recently, and the IT manager was saying, we always recommend our users to change passwords regularly every 3 months. That was the norm a few years ago. It's not the norm anymore. When you ask people to change passwords often, they're only going to append a character at the end. The password is password 1, password 2, password 3. If you divide the last number by 4, you will know how long they've been working with the company. So have complex passwords, and also encourage people to have two-factor authentication. I would say you must have two-factor authentication wherever it is possible, period, right? It's going to cut down a lot of issues, lots of identity theft issues, credential theft issues. It's going to mitigate those issues for you, right? Two-factor authentication, period. Malware protection, have proper antivirus software. Please don't use the free ones. if they are free for a reason, right? So have proper malware protection for your devices on your network. Keep updating it, keep them up to date, right? That's it. Regular scanning. There are tons of good, tons of innovation happened in the antivirus industry, malware protection industry. There are some really good ones you could use, which will block unknown and zero-day threats as well. Give you best protection. I wouldn't say 100% protection, but gives you the best protection against the most known unknown threats. So have one of them. And firewalls, firewalls, change the default passwords again, and don't open the ports you don't need, or if you open them, just close them once you're done. Get them checked. A basic Nmap scan on your firewall will tell you what ports are open, and have it checked, or check it yourself if you have the skills. Spam filtering on the emails. This is spam filtering, is in the emails. There is tons of stuff comes through in the emails, right? Spam, phishing emails, and all sorts, right? So you can have if you're using Office 365, Office 365 has this advanced threat protection, or if you don't like ATP, you can go with something like Mimecast or EveryCloud. There are number of solutions out there, but the idea being, have some sort of filtering software filtering your emails before they hit your inbox, so that you're mitigating the risk of people engaging with this phishing and spam emails, right? Access controls. One thing I would say about access controls is like your door controls. You're only giving permissions for people for what they need to perform their job. Here, what I would say is exercise the least privilege, right? You would give a user least amount of privileges to perform their job, right? Simple as that. And if you are not sure, conduct an audit on who has permissions on what, and then go by that. So get a consultant in, or if you have the skills in house, do it yourself, right? Okay, backups. We could be doing all this, and then incidents, accidents still happen. Attacks will still happen. Bad guys get clever. So the one thing that can save you when everything else fails is the backups, right? And here is the question from the user when I was on an event comes in. We back up as well. What else we should do? The one thing you should do is you should test your backups. A backup that is not tested is not a backup, right? There are a number of times people being caught out. Something happens, they go back to restore from their backups, and they realize the backups are not working. The file is missing, or tape is corrupted, the disk is corrupted, so on and so forth. A number of reasons. You should be regularly checking your backups, whether it is your backup or your DR site, regularly. That regular means whatever it is to your business, check them regularly. Policies, these are administrative controls again. Password policies, acceptable usage policies, mobile working policy, device policy, BYOD, bring your own device policy. Whatever suits your business, have policies, right? Proper policies, and get them acknowledged by your users. Get them read by your users and acknowledged by your users, right? Training. Make sure your users are trained properly. Security awareness is the key. 95% of the successful cyber attacks, originate from an email, somebody clicking on something, clicking on a link, right? So train your users. USB controls. Manage your USBs, right? Scan them or block the ports if you don't need them, or any new devices being plugged into, they should be automatically scanned. So you know what fits your business. So USB controls is something to consider, right? Monitoring everything what we said so far, continuously monitor. Some businesses have security information and event management systems, SIEM platforms they're called, or SIM platforms they're called. In small businesses it may not be possible because they do come with a cost, but monitor everything you're doing. The businesses who have SIEM platforms, they can actually collect all their logs into one single place and correlate when the incident has happened, right? And they can see what exactly had happened. Incident response. So follow up to the what I said earlier. Who does what when something happens? You know, who calls the shots? Who implements the disaster recovery, and you know, who speaks to the media, and so on and so forth, right? So whether you're a small business, large business, it doesn't matter. For small businesses, the plan could be really short, maybe 1 or 2 person or 3 people involved. Large business more, but have some sort of incident response plan, because the incident is going to happen. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe a year later, right? So have a plan. If you don't have a plan, again, as I said, regardless of what we do, incident might still happen. I would also encourage you to consider taking a cyber insurance with your insurance provider, right? At least that covers your back when something goes wrong, right? Vulnerability management, which I should have mentioned in the secure configuration earlier. Keep your applications up to date. You know, that's the most important. There is no silver bullet in cybersecurity, but keeping your applications up to date, patching them. Third-party patch management. I am not referring to Microsoft updates. Whenever I go into a business, ask them, do you use any patch management system? They say, oh yeah, we use, you know, WSS, SCCM, and okay, I mean third-party patch management. You know, your Adobe's, your Chrome's, your Java, and all this stuff, right? And they're like, oh no, we don't have any. Right? Okay. So have some sort of patch management system, and then also regularly get vulnerability assessments done on your network, right? You can do it. There are a number of tools available. You can do it yourself, or you can get a consultant like us. Get the regular vulnerability assessment done on your systems. You know, anything with an IP address on your network, you know, we can check them and we can see what loopholes you have, right? So I hope the list is not exhaustive. Finally, if this is too boring for you or too long for you, use Cyber Essentials framework, which is introduced by UK government. There are 5 controls which are already here as well. Use that framework as to build your security posture of the organization. Regardless whether you want to go for the certification or not, use the framework. If you're going to go for it, go for Cyber Essentials Plus, not the basic one. Cyber Essentials Plus, right? Don't do the self-assessment stuff. So, right. Inventory, secure configuration, authentication. This will cut down a lot of issues. Patch management, right? So I hope that helped. Sorry for the long video, but stay tuned, right? Thank you very much.